Alright, so I finished building Archmage Hellmut on my own account, and I wanted to try him out in a couple different places, which I did, namely the hard Doom Tower, where I think he's actually going to be a step up. So I want to go over all that in today's video. Let's get going. So let's start with, obviously, the kit, which I'm not going to spend too much time on because by now you guys understand how this works. We love the turn meter control on the A1, which is to himself if this attack is a crit, so you do 100% crit rate. We do love this skill right here as well, AoE stun, which only unfortunately has a 75% chance or 80% chance, as you'll see with my Masteries. But the problem is that he doesn't open with this, right? So he's not a dedicated crowd control champion for, let's say, the arena. He always is going to open up with Psychic Guidance, which is great. You can definitely use this to your advantage. Increased crit rate, increased crit damage is fantastic if you, let's say, you want to build a really hard hitting champion, 70% crit rate with the extra 30% crit damage. Let's say you reach 330% total crit damage. That will basically nuke entire team. So that is number one. But when you use him for prolonged fights in the arena, then he's going to cycle around his A2, and then he can get pretty interesting there as well. We have the passive where it makes him immune to turn meter controlling effects on himself. And for the Masteries, here's what I decided to go with for the time being. Defense and support. I decided to go with Fearsome Presence, number one, because of his A2, but also number two, because of the gear that I put on him. So that was basically for the Doom Tower, right? So because I want to use him on auto, that's what I'm trying to do with this champion here, to replace my Mausoleum Mage with Archmage Hellmut, which will continue to power up my Seer on a 3-turn rotation with the cooldown of his skills. But more importantly, on the second wave and the third wave, I need more control. So Fearsome Presence with the gear that you're going to see in a second makes it a little bit better. And so I've been able to try a floor or two so far. It's not perfect, it's not going to work for all of them, but I've managed to do like above floor 100 or so. We're going to check that in a second, and it worked on auto. All right, so we have 240 speed, 100% crit rate, which you absolutely need, and we do have 330 resistance. If you want to use this guy on auto in hard Doom Tower, you got to push that resistance unless you have a very good cleanser or a reliable block debuffs champion, which unfortunately I do not have still. Okay, so 300 accuracy is okay-ish, short of about 30 here. Maybe that's going to improve over time. And I do use a Seer in the lead on that team, therefore I get an extra 40 resistance. All right, so I'm sitting at about 370 resistance total. To hit these stats, we had to go with this fantastic chest, accuracy, and then 3 rolls on resistance. That's huge. And for the banner, we went with resistance. Then the rest of the pieces here are basically whatever overall to just power up his stats. We do have crit rate gloves, speed boots, 2 pieces of accuracy, and then 4 pieces of stun. Even though he only has basically the a single hit A1, we do have that A2, which is basically an AoE. Because it's only 75% plus the 5% chance of the Mastery 80% with the stun set on top, I can usually get a very reliable AoE stun, assuming I don't get weak hits, and that is what I like, because between him and a trusty Tormin, this gives me all the crowd control almost that I need on auto, right? So that is why I decided to go with this set. Yes, I could have put Relentless on him. I could have put a shield set on him. That would be okay as well. But this is all I had left lying around. So I made it work with this so that I don't have to take apart any other champions on my account. All that said, let's go see what he can do with this gear. Starting with the Dragon, we wanted to see if this guy was going to work as a replacement for Mausoleum Mage in there as well. This is the usual team that I have. My Royal Guard's a little bit slower now than I typically have him because I want him to skip literally both of the waves and only use his A3, the takedown, the A2 on the boss himself. So because of that, it's still relatively fast, but it's certainly not perfect. I'm actually going to switch this up again, but for the time being, the first test was to see, can Archmage replace Mausoleum Mage? I am a little bit more glass cannon. Mausoleum Mage will remove the debuffs and heal me. Archmage will not do that for me, and right here is basically going to be useless for the stun on the boss. So in this specific case, I'm only using him for the buffs, all right? And that still works because those 3 buffs are really clutch to power up your Seer. That is what I like, but eventually I'm going to drop him entirely and I'm going to bring in a second Royal Guard, which should allow me to reach even faster times for my Dragon Dungeon. Still, if you guys are mid-game and you finally got this champion, he's a great addition for here. And the next test was the Doom Tower. I wanted to see if this was going to work on auto, so I believe this is floor 103, certainly not the hardest at this level. But what I found interesting here is that I went in there with no shield set and this started happening. I got control of the waves. And that is what I find absolutely fantastic about this champion, is that aside from like a stun set Torment, I don't have any other champions that can allow me to control waves to this extent. So you combine both of them and all of a sudden you got a pretty solid team that works on auto, and that is what I really wanted to accomplish here with the Archmage Hellmut on the hard Doom Tower, which is why I put his stats so high. He's a little bit weak, he's probably gonna die. Even if he does, we don't care unless it's a block revive. I'm gonna bring him back up and then we should be all right. So right there, we're about to take a 2 right there, boom, right, almost a full AoE stun on all those chants. That is what I mean. Torment by himself was not enough to do this. I always had to turtle on each wave to reset my nuke on Seer, and then it made my run sort of like 4 or 5 minutes. For like floor 100 to 120, that's basically what I did all the time. But now I might actually have a couple more floors that I can just hit auto and keep doing it until it works. So see, right here, we died again, but we don't really care. We're gonna bring him back up, and then for the final wave, we should have our skills roughly back in rotation, and we'll be able to nuke them again. So this is great because at this point for me, with my account, this is an upgrade. It's actually an upgrade for me to be able to auto a couple more floors. Less work overall on a monthly basis, I think is great. So here again, I'm going to say that he's a fantastic champion to have. So if you've only focused on normal Doom Tower, you got this guy, now you're transitioning to hard Doom Tower, certainly try to use this champ. Again, might be in Relentless gear, could be in Stun like I decided to do, but overall, the way he's geared right now for me works just fine, and I'm going to keep using him this way. And right there, done. 2 minutes, best time. And then of course we had to try him out in the Bannerlord because let's face it, he's one of my better champions for this faction here as well. Yes, I do have a Septimus and a Horden, which are my damage dealers, but there again, you see that stun coming into play. That is huge. Not a lot of champions in the game can stun this way, and I think that's fantastic. So we're not going to watch this entire run, but I will tell you right now, it has given me my best time on auto. Literally, I'm beating records here as well, and that is all thanks to Archmage Hellmut. Yes, Septimus does need to survive, but right there, we're taking down the boss even without taking down the ads because we're controlling them, therefore we're not dying. We're basically full health by the time we finish this. I think it's fantastic. There again, you saw that AoE stun. So guys, absolutely amazing. But then what about the arena? Can you use him here as well? Definitely. If you can power up your nuker with this champ, you don't need AoE decrease defense and weaken because he's going to give you that little extra that you might need to kill the enemy team. Even against teams where I have a weak affinity, I can actually use this to my advantage, especially if I have another nuker like Ashelon, which has an AoE stun. So right there, we do get 2 stuns off. We do have some true fears from Harvest Jack as well. But I was curious to see if this fight was going to drag on. Am I going to get control of these champs? Right there, we do take 1 hit. Maybe we should have died from a really powerful counterphone, but right there, boom, AoE stun. They're all stun locked, right? So that is what I mean. Overall, this champion has a great power up with his initial skill, but also a great follow through, and he's great for prolonged fights as well. So I'm going to say that he can literally do it all. And I'm pretty sure Deadwood Jedi just made a video about him on a 2-to-1 ratio for the clan boss. I mean, this is an all-around champ, one of the best, certainly one of my newest favorite ones. So here's a quick recap for you guys before I let you go. Here are my total stats: 240 speed, 100% crit rate, 330 for the resistance, 300 for the accuracy, a little bit low for what I'm trying to do for the end game. The masteries, we have fearsome presence for the tier 6, and then the great haul in case you guys are going to try and compare stats. So there you have it, guys, my Archmage Hellmut built on my account. Do let me know in the comments below where you guys are currently using this champion, if you have him, of course. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.